This is the Ask the SEO session. We have a different format. There are 0 presentations in this session. This is where you get to ask all the questions you want of us. We've got a lot of different kinds of background. I've got a great panel here. As Ask the Question, Ask the Pros goes, you can tweet, but you'll notice we have 2 microphones set up. I think it's probably easier for us to keep track of it and to hear you and not have things get out of sequence if you would use the microphones. We're kind of used to doing that. My name's Bruce Clay. I'm going to be, as moderator, I'm going to be basically guiding this. The format of this, as I said, is Q&A. So what we're going to ask is that the questions be not so much site-specific. This is not a site review kind of a session. We're not going to look at sites. We're really going to ask general questions, answer general questions that have to do with SEO. I've got a panel of industry notables between people who have spoken a lot, who have been in the affiliate space, have written books. We've got quite a panel. What I'm going to do is ask everybody in the panel to logically introduce themselves as it relates to you and spend 30 seconds-ish just talking about a topic near and dear to their heart that they think might be a good topic for questions and things that you'd like to hear. We're going to start with Stephan.
Morning, everyone. So I'm Stephan Spencer. I founded an SEO firm called Net Concepts, sold it last year to Cavario out of San Diego, and I'm the co-author of this book, The Art of SEO, published by O'Reilly. Working on the 2nd edition, hopefully should be out next year, and this is my new book called Google Power Search. It's a small one, but it's packed with information about how to find anything on Google, Forrester research reports, you name it, you can find it. So that's me. Am I supposed to give like a little
30 seconds. What's important?
What's important? So I think YouTube optimization is a great new area to explore, and you could do things from the very basic of keyword research, from YouTube suggest and so forth, incorporating those keywords into your titles and descriptions. That's really basic and obvious, all the way to more sophisticated stuff like uploading caption files, transcripts that override the automated transcription process that Google does, and that's all searchable, to annotating your videos, tagging them. There's a little icon that looks like a little chart or graph that's next to the number of views on each video, and you just click on that and you can see all sorts of fantastic stats on your competitors' videos and your own, of course, like first referrals, like referral sources, and trends in increases in views and likes and all sorts of good stuff like that. You can track your YouTube search rankings, because of course YouTube's the #2 search engine, using a tool called Voot, which is in private beta. If you're interested in getting access to that, come up to me afterwards and I'll see if I can hook you up. I know the guy who runs Voot. It's voot.net. And as far as I know, it's the only tool out there that will track your YouTube search rankings. So there you go.
Hi guys, I'm Rhea Drysdale. As I hit the table here. CEO of Outspoken Media. Everybody hear me? Great. How many of you were in Will Reynolds' keynote this morning? Awesome. So you got a lot of information about link development. So what my company does is we specialize in natural link development, SEO, reputation management, that type of thing. What I'll talk about with my 30 seconds is the 12 site links that you're probably starting to see on a lot of your branded searches. How many of you noticed that as of the last week, you now have at least 10 to 12 different site links appearing? Cool. How many of you are stoked about that? How many of you really hate it? The problem is now with those site links, some of them are not exactly what you wanted. And removal still works. We took one out within 24 hours. It popped out of there. But you don't really have control over what Google's putting as a site link for your site. And sometimes that's definitely a negative. So you really want to watch that. If you have a site, a branded site that's starting to see these site links pop up, if you were a company that was having a reputation management problem, and we deal with a lot of them, this update was actually kind of a pardon my language, pain in the butt. I'll say butt. I can say butt. And the sense that now subdomains roll up underneath those site links. And for most of us, we know that subdomains basically count just like a separate domain. So if you were doing reputation management, we'd maybe want to create a couple subdomains on your site, and it's the opposite of how you would think about SEO. With SEO, you want to put everything under one domain. But with reputation management, we might want to have a couple of subdomains because we can kind of flood the search results with your own properties on subdomains. But now with this update, all of those are rolling up under site links, and you still have all those negatives popping up. So I hope that makes sense. But I would say that's kind of disconcerting, but at the same time, Will talked about trust and gaining trust. And if you're using, micro formats or schema.org to mark up your code, you start to gain trust from users when they're clicking or typing in something and they see that you've got reviews or some other snippet there. And with these site links, you're definitely going to be considered the authority if you can get them for your brand. And now we're also starting to see them pop up for certain really short tail searches as well. And that's disconcerting if you're in a certain space and you know that there's one site that's your competitor, your number 2 guy, and now your competitor has 12 links pushing you below the fold. So that's definitely something that you have to pay attention to and figure out how do you become the authority, how do you gain that trust. So.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Michael Streko. Back in 2009, me and my partner had this little crazy idea we built out a site called checkusernames.com, which allowed you to go and type in a username and it would show you across, at the time it was 84 different social media sites of if that username was taken or not for branding purposes. Fast forward to now present day, we rebranded and relaunched the site as Noam.com. I currently have a staff of over 40, and we work with everyone from small business to the Fortune 100 to protect their brand name and their trademark terms across social media. So your Twitter.com/pharmaceutical drug name or Facebook.com/pharmaceutical drug name. We go out, we give you a report to show where your name has already been taken. We also give you the legal contact information for everyone on the social media sites. Our database is currently up over 7,300 social media sites that we do this search for. Where it's available, then we then go out and we reserve the name for you. I guess I'm going to kind of touch on exactly what Rhea did because I find the 12 box to be really interesting and probably one of the biggest things to come out of Google in a while. We've seen that we've been 12 box, and we've also seen that through social media branding, whereas kind of broadcasting the same consistent message to all of the different social media sites through your profile. We've seen that some of our clients on lesser known sites have been able to get the 12 or the 10 box from these results. So my specialty and expertise is I know everything from small social media sites to large social media sites, the ins and outs about them, and any questions regarding social media sites or anything, that's what I'll be the best to answer. I'll give you a perfect little statistic I'd love to throw out. So if you go into Facebook right now and you were to start an ad campaign and you type in the word cats, there's basically 500,000 people on Facebook that like cats so much that they've put that as one of their tags. There's a social media network called UnitedCats.com, which currently has 2 million members. Every member of that social media network really likes cats a lot. So that might be a place where you'd want to look at to pushing your advertising dollars.
Okay, and just something about me. I've been doing SEO since 1996. That's 3 years before Google. I've spoken at over 100 different conference sessions on the subject of SEO. I have written the Search Engine Optimization All-in-One for Dummies book from Wiley, 746 pages. It's a big book for big dummies. It's plenty of material there. So I think between all of us we can handle it. Quick question. How many of you actually own and operate your own network, your own sites? Most of you? You consider yourselves, how many are programmers technical? How many are marketing? How many just like going to the bank? That should have had a unanimous arm raise. I don't know. Okay. So the topic today is SEO. Any kind of questions you might have that are general in nature are the ones we prefer. If you wish, please go to one of the mics. Anybody have a question? I'll ask you a question. How many people are concerned about what local is doing to the first page of Google results? You don't? How many are local businesses? Do you think local's going to take over the first page and you won't be able to get on, or are you not concerned about local at all? Anybody? This is going to be a hard session to get going.
I have a good question. Does anyone here work in the travel vertical? Affiliate-wise, have hotel-related sites? How many people are kind of nervous about now the fact that you can book a hotel right through Google? Yes? How many people here are happy that they sold the majority of their travel sites in 2009?
Okay, please, come on up and ask a question, because that's what the session's all about.
Or if you guys want to, write them down and bring them up here if you don't want to like stand at the mic.
And incentivize with free books.
Yeah.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Excuse me. Jay Berkowitz from 10 Golden Rules. Nice to see you again. Thought I'd get you going. Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Panda, obviously the big topic, so why don't we go there? Maybe everyone on the panel could talk about some things to do to improve your sites in the art of Panda. Want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. So Will was kind of funny in his keynote. He said that Panda was great for him, and it was the same way for our company. It just depends on the methods that you were using. If you were really investing in article creation and you were just pumping out articles, then you probably got hit, and we didn't. We only had one client that got hit, and that had more to do with quality signals than with article submission. What is quality? There was an interesting post written by Amit Singhal, I think, on the update, and he had a whole bunch of notes where he said what was involved in Panda. And it wasn't just article directories or article sites. There were a lot of things. It was saying we're now looking to see if the content that you produce is accurate, if it's truthful, if it's well written, if it's long, if it's unique. If it's got a good reputation, and that's kind of interesting to me. I don't necessarily know that it's Google's responsibility to, query all of our content to make sure it's accurate, and I don't even know how they could possibly do that, but that's what they're saying. And so on our end, we produce unique content, and you just have to figure out what can you do in your space and push it out there. And I would say if you have a lot of duplicate content on the site, you need to start looking at that. That was the biggest hit that a lot of sites took, was that they had so much duplicate content. Are many of you familiar with supplemental results? Back in the day, Google used to display supplemental results. And we called it supplemental hell, because if your site got stuck in supplemental, there was a problem. You had over-indexation of your content, probably due to duplicate issues. And once you started to rein that in, then you would see that your site would pop back up into the main index. I'm of the belief that that still exists, even though they got rid of it, and it's kind of like a seesaw. If you've got a whole bunch of crap pages, eventually that's going to outweigh your good pages. So you have to start to use different methods to cut out the crap and just produce good stuff. And if you have a lot of content that is very similar, think about smushing them together into one larger piece that's really of value. Redirect, 301 redirect those other pieces into that one, get some backlinks to it, let that pop, make it fresh.
Yeah, so think of it this way, like if you look at your site as a whole, like a tree, and all these pages are, all these nodes, they're like branches on your tree, right? So if you have a lot of dead branches on the tree, then it looks like a very unhealthy tree, a tree that Google shouldn't trust. So you want to prune all those dead branches. And what is a dead branch? It's a page that is more than, let's say, a couple clicks away from an external link source. So if you were to either flow more PageRank, be more strategic and effective in your flowing of PageRank throughout your site so that you minimize the number of pages that are more than a couple of clicks away from an external link source, the tree overall is going to look healthier, right? Or you prune those dead branches away by not just like no following those links, because that's insufficient now, right? So you could do, like, for example, cookie detection. Who's done cookie detection? Using cookies to determine whether it's a human or a bot, right? So that's a more sophisticated way of doing what's used to be known in the day as PageRank sculpting. So PageRank sculpting still works. It's still an effective strategy, but not in the way that you typically would think about it, like no following links to login pages and view cart and that sort of stuff, right? So what you're trying to do now with PageRank sculpting is to eliminate those dead branches or hide them. So Google says, yeah, just show everything to us. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Of course, it's in their best interest to say that because they want you to expose all the crap so that they can see that you're a crappy site and treat you accordingly.
One of the, I'll just throw in a comment. One of the things that we have found is there seems to be a correlation between the trust and quality of your inbound links as well. We have actually, after Panda, had some sites where we eliminated junk inbound links from junk sites, and the ranking of the site. We actually decreased the number of links and the ranking went up. So it fluctuates quite a bit.
Also use your canonical, and if you have an e-commerce site or something where you've got a lot of pages that maybe have pagination on them, start to really look at how is Googlebot getting in there and crawling that. Small thing, if you have pagination, most of you probably have WordPress sites. Archives are set up where you get to one page and then it says go to the next page. Well, Googlebot has to then follow that next page, next page, next page, next page. We're working with a client that had 4,000 pages. That's a pain for Google to have to follow, so we set it up where it's not just next page, next page, next page. It's page 1, 2, 3, and then there's next page, and then there's last page. Find a way to more creatively allow Googlebot to get in there and crawl things and get to your content, because sometimes it's just a matter of access, too. And then we also put in the footer rotating links that would kind of go into some deeper areas of the site.
And as Bruce was saying, to take away or clean up all the dodgy crap links that you have pointing to your sites, because you probably, like many of us, except for me, I never bought crap links. I was never that naive. But anyways, somebody in your company probably did this, not you, and you need to clean it up, right? So one of the best tools I've found for identifying anomalies and things that look engineered and crap would be link research tools. Who uses that tool set? Yeah, it's really quite a cool tool set. So you can, like for example, look at the themes of the sites that are linking to you and load in a bunch of competitors, sites that are outranking you, and then it averages those and shows you the percentages of those types of themes on those sites versus yours, and you can see, whoa, my competitors on average have way more bloggy links than I do. This doesn't look good. This looks abnormal. I need to fix that. I need to go out and build bloggy links, right? Or type of site. So CMS-based site or standard sort of HTML site or WordPress type of site. Those site types and themes of sites and so forth, you just imagine what are the sort of things that will leave a footprint that says, yeah, this looks pretty abnormal and deserves a penalty. And do bear in mind there are two types of penalties. There's algorithmic and manual. So Google doesn't even have, Google engineers don't even have insight into what is an algorithmic penalty. Only manual penalties. They can turn off manual penalties, but they cannot even see if you have an algorithmic one, let alone turn it off. So, you need to back off from the over-aggressive tactics if it's an algorithmic penalty. And then if it's a manual one, you're kind of screwed because it's basically up to, convincing Matt Cutts or somebody like that to pull out their little black book and write a little note, and then suddenly you're back in their good graces again someday in the future. These reconsideration requests are kind of like throwing confetti up in the air, because you're just like, I don't know, it's not it can work, but it is less likely to yield a positive result versus having a relationship with Matt Cutts. So.
I found that they work very well as long as
you cleaned it all up.
Yes, you just have to make
Every
sure you
bit
got
of it.
everything, because if you didn't get everything, they're going to know and they're going to point it out, and then you have to figure out what you missed.
And it never hurts to tell them how great they are when you're writing the re-inclusion.
How do you find, 'crappy? 'crappy content that you produce over the years stuff, and then you get to the point where you have to fix it. And it never hurts to tell them how great they are when you're writing the re-inclusion.
How do you find crappy content that you produce over the years stuff, and then you get to the point where you have to fix it. And it never hurts to tell them how great they are when you're writing the re-inclusion.
How do you find crappy content that you produce over the years stuff, and you improve, but then you see, man, this stuff I built 3 years ago was shit. How do you find this? Because it's deep somewhere in the site.
So the question is, how do you find bad content within your site?
Look at your analytics and see what's not getting traffic anymore, and see what's decreasing, see what used to rank that's not ranking anymore. I like to go in and look at content that had a ton of traffic at one point and now it no longer does, but maybe there's a different post that we created recently that actually overlaps on keywords, and I'll identify that overlap and see which one's performing better. And if we just pop it into a sidebar or we link to it again, it might trigger that. But
There's also this report that I call the freeloaders report, and these are pages that are getting indexed by Google and crawled, but for whatever reason are not getting any traffic from search, from Google, right? So if you sort that by crawler activity, the top of the list, these are pages that have gotten 0 visitors from Google in an entire month. So I have analytics that we've custom built that will show that kind of reporting. And the ones that are at the very top, because they've been crawled a lot, they have a lot of interest by Google, and they probably have some page rank, but there's something very broken about them. So it could be that it's crap content, or it could be that it's duplicate content or whatever, but these are low-hanging fruit opportunities that you can fix.
Okay, we're going to move on to another question. Back there.
Okay, John Rampton, the best way to optimize a Google Places account for local.
I would suggest you have one.
I do have one. I want to get above the competition. How's the best way to optimize that?
one quick thing, if you don't have one and you want to know, use getlisted.org to check and your business address, and it'll tell you how many of the main local sites you've actually claimed your listing on. And if you're managing hundreds of locations, that'll help. But,
Yeah, there's about 340 directories out there that are paid attention to. 22 main directories are paid attention to by Google. So if you can get the same entry in all of them, it helps. One thing to watch out for, you'll notice if you start to go through some of the directories, this one will have a 40-character company name, but this one will have an 80-character company name. What matters to Google in Places is that the company names match, so you get consistent voting for the same company name. So don't put in your company name in the 40, then put your company name followed by keywords in the 80, because it won't be voting for the same company. So you want to have consistency across all the directories.
And just to hop back really quick onto that last one, I wanted to suggest there's a plugin for if you want to check how often your content's being spidered by Google, MSN, and Yahoo, called the WordPress Crawl Rate Tracker plugin. And what you can actually do is download that plugin and compare it to your Google Analytics to see what pages are getting clicks and how often they're getting crawled, and that's a good thing to look at. That's I use on all of my WordPress blogs. One more time, WordPress Crawl Rate Tracker plugin.
it's from Blogstorm.
Yeah, it's from Blogstorm.
On the Google Place page optimization, so for reputation management, what I like is to that point that you have to have your name be the same. If you have a lot of negative reviews, it always helps to just maybe mess up your address or something, and then it stops showing for your business. But on the actual optimization side, there are a lot of rules. If you haven't already read it, I would read David Mim. He does a local ranking factors report, and I think earlier this year they released the 2011 version. Gigantic. I mean, massive. The thing with places, you have to be very careful because there are certain things that can actually hurt you. So if you just cram it full of optimization, like keywords in there, if you have something that is not a physical phone number, if it's an 800 number, that type of stuff, if it's a P.O. box, it's not helping you. You have to have a real location. And I would say also on the places side, do everything you can to make it look natural. Fill out your profile completely. Add pictures. Get people that have actually used your business to write reviews. Don't fake those reviews. I'm trying to think what else.
The best thing that we've suggested to clients to do is keep your coupons fresh. Google loves those little deals and likes to see that stuff being constantly changed. Don't get lazy with it where okay, so a liquor store by my house, they constantly always give, if you print out their Places page and bring it in, you get 10% off of an order of a case of wine. freshen that up a little bit. You know, change it around and make it like maybe 1 month you'll get 10% off a case of a wine, and maybe the next month you get 5% off of 6 bottles of wine, which is a half a case. So it's the same offer, but it's just giving new content to the engine.
So it used to be that distance from the city centroid was an important factor. It's not as important anymore. As Rhea mentioned, the local ranking factor survey is a really important place to start to get a sense for some of these different factors. The ratings and reviews are important. If nobody says you're any good, then you're kind of screwed. If it's all crickets, there's no ratings, reviews. If it's all bad, you're in big trouble. So
Never buy reviews.
Yeah.
Never. There's those sites. Everyone's heard of Fiverr, Fiverr. You can go on there, and we'll send 30 reviews of your local business for $5. Just fill out here. The issue with that is, listen, it's Google. Google's smart. Unless they see that the zip code and the IP address of where those reviews are coming from aren't in the same area that your business is, 9 times out of 10, those reviews aren't going to count for squat, and they're going to hurt you more. If they see, if your business is located in Florida and they see 15 reviews coming from the Philippines and then 30 coming from India, more than likely it's not going to help. So let the reviews happen organically. If you do own a local business, contact Google. They'll send you one of those things. We have a places page, and with the little icon there. Get a QR code. Tell them to scan your QR code and do a review right there, right on the spot. That's the type of stuff you want to do. Never fake reviews.
yeah, another thing that you don't want to do that gets you in big trouble, maybe not initially, but just think of the stuff that you do in Google as if it's stuff that you would not feel comfortable telling Matt Cutts, you're basically developing a rap sheet for yourself. It's not a question of if you're going to get caught, but when. And if you've at all left your who is information on your domain names open and stuff, I mean, they have access to so much domain information. They can connect all the dots, and they can really screw you big time. And they can go back into historical who is information. And just like I could using domain tools, if there was 1 week where your privacy information, your privacy guard or whatever came off, and you were exposing the true owner of the domain names, I mean, Google can totally catch you for this sort of stuff. So doing idiotic things like using UPS stores as your locations because you're an affiliate and you don't have physical locations, and you want to show up in umpteen number of different cities. I mean, you're just asking to get burned.
Nobody here does that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I used to do a lot of shady affiliate stuff. When Bing first came out with Bing Local, they weren't matching. When you would get a card placement mailed to you with the code that you would have to put in, initially Bing was not matching up what store it was to that code that they sent. So basically, you could take any store and create a Bing Local page and say, send me the card, and then I would flip through my random cards and say, okay, here you go, here's a code, this one works, and then have an address. I had, I think, 15 businesses at one time listed out of my house that were all in the loan-related space, if anyone's in that space, and worked like a charm. Nowadays, no, it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. No one should do that either. That's bad.
Okay, we'll take next question.
Okay, this is kind of an SEO 101 question, but since we're looking for questions, it'll probably be a quick answer. I'm still a little bit confused about duplicate content. If I write a legitimate article that I think is interesting and some blogs pick it up and post it, do I get credit for the links coming back to me if I've got them in my bio or whatever? And the other way around, if I see somebody's article that I think would be useful to my readers and I post it, am I somehow penalized because I've posted duplicate content?
So duplicate content's a filter, not a penalty in most cases, unless you're doing something really egregious, right? So a filter means that it's a query time filter that is applied. Google picks one winner, and they filter out from the search results that you're looking at all the